This week we're doing a very fun art challenge thing. 25 artists, including yours truly. We are going to do a big boy painting with materials supplied, probably by Opus. This is our sack of supplies. Artists must use the supplies they are given, but if needed are allowed to use their own acrylic paint. Only acrylics must be used, as artwork could possibly be hung outside. That sounds like a challenge, especially since I'm not an acrylic painter. Got some sponges. What? An entire bottle. Brown. Okay, that's perfect because I really wanted a tan base. Ooh, okay. Blue. With Azo yellow medium. I love this tiny compared to the other ones. I'm like, why is the white smaller? It should be bigger. I love that it specifies opaque because that's what we need right now. I'm obviously going to have to incorporate my own red. But look at the size of this boy. It's almost as big as I am. I don't know where I'm going to paint this. But that is the challenge. This is what I was planning on doing. It might involve some glazing, maybe some collage. I want to start with a beige kind of base. I wanted to use a bit of a glazing technique to get the watercolor-esque splashes in the background, and I leaned pretty heavily on the matte medium. It's just a thin little acrylic medium with no color in it, and it's supposed to let me water down my acrylic paints without breaking them down too much. And then I can add a little bit of water to that to give it a more watery consistency. The acrylic medium dries so quickly, and at the same time not quickly enough. Acrylic is just kind of funny that way. It doesn't always drip and flow smoothly like you want it to as a watercolor, but it doesn't dry fast enough to put layers over it without ripping the underlayers off of it. So it was a bit of a struggle, but I think it looks really cool, this kind of technique, the glazing technique. It just looks like clear glass sometimes. And by the time I was done with it, I was like, I have to keep painting on this? And I became very afraid to ruin what I had. But you know what? I was completely right about that little tube of white paint. I had so much of the colors left, but I had nothing left of the white. I used so much white. During this process, I was a little bit disappointed in my immediate renderings of the reeds, the leaves, because I paint so small, and I also don't really put a lot of pressure on myself to be photorealistic. I didn't really know how to make a reed look like a reed. It is just, a green stalk. What makes a piece of grass really look like a piece of grass? How do I get that rigid texture? How do I get that tiny little highlight that runs up and down the length of them? I started adding like little browned tips, little dried up, shriveled up tips that dangle down. What about the shadows? Dramatic lighting and perspective is something that I neglect. So adding little things like tiny shadows in an image that I just put together, I'm not copying directly from a photograph or anything, that was a little bit challenging. But even though I'm not great with acrylic anymore and I'm not doing a photorealistic rendering, those little tiny things I think added a lot. I was under the impression that painting larger was easier. It was easier to capture little details. But then I realized that if the reference that I'm working from isn't also huge and full of details, you can't just take something and add information to that, information that I don't have. So I guess I can't fault myself for struggling a little bit. I think I proposed a title for this painting. I think it was Songs of the Pond, and this is about a local pond that is man-made. And when we first saw it, when they first chopped down this wet, decaying forest area and turned it into a duck pond area, it kind of looked like a really bad haircut. It just looked kind of sheared. There was new grasses planted, but there was nothing really springing up. There wasn't any wildlife living there yet. And so it had this really awkward growing phase where it was there, it had a path, you can walk it and you can look at the water, but it didn't look or feel natural yet. Several years later, we went to the same pond. For the first time, I heard a blackbird singing in it. And in a strange little way, to me, hearing a blackbird sing at this new pond meant that it was a legitimate pond now. It was no longer an awkward little city project to develop the land it was sitting on. It was now an actual habitat for something. And suddenly I felt so happy and excited for it to be here to see animals are moving in. The cattails were coming up, ducks are coming in. We had the goose family for the first time a few years ago. And so for this project, Nature in the City, I was going to do something to celebrate the blackbirds and their first sign of making this place a home. And if you've ever heard a blackbird, it's painful. It's a shrieking, very high-pitched. And in my artwork, when I want to represent a high-pitched noise, I tend to use triangle shapes, often with patterns inside them or bright colors. And bless past me, because at some point I remeasured and redrew this pattern and then scanned it so that future me, present me, didn't have to do that again 6 times. I was able to print out an uncolored copy of a pattern that I made, and so yes, I did have to put on a movie and color all the images in with watercolor. But I didn't have to sit there and draw the thing. So, thank you, me. Thank you. You saved me. It was just a matter of mindlessly sticking them on with this gel medium, because this has to be in a public place, perhaps outdoors, so encasing the paper under a gel medium was definitely a must, and I used a Posca marker to outline it to make it look extra snazzy. Then it was just a matter of fuming out my neighbors and spraying the matte finish on it. And this is tentatively done.